Welcome to the Front Office Exchange, where we take a look at the careers of executives and rising stars within the sports business. Now here's your host, Jake Vailing.
This is episode 16 of the Front Office Exchange podcast, and today we'll hear from Brant Ust, Assistant Athletics Director and Executive Director of the Monogram Club at Notre Dame. Continuing with the theme of bringing you my former USA Baseball colleagues that have gone on to success in collegiate sports business, and you can check the last episode, number 15, with David Shoemaker of Razorback Sports Properties. Brant brings the unique perspective of being a former standout baseball player at Notre Dame who has now returned to his alma mater in a leadership role in the athletics department. Brant talks about his subsequent time in professional baseball after leaving Notre Dame and ultimately his decision to leave the minor leagues and the sport that he loved. It's a transition that all professional athletes are faced with, and Brant walks through how he leveraged his experiences while playing for USA Baseball twice to land one of his first roles off the field after he retired. His time with the national governing body of baseball helped him land his current role with Notre Dame, and it keeps him on his path to someday serve in an athletics director capacity. So, without further ado, Brant Ust of Notre Dame. Okay, Brant Ust, welcome to Front Office Exchange. Thanks for joining us.
Jake, it is great to be here and a privilege and honor to be able to chat with you.
Well, thank you for coming on. You were making dreams happen earlier on a business call. So again, thank you for fitting me into your day there. How are things going at Notre Dame? I mean, you and I obviously spent some time together in the bowels of Durham Bulls Athletic Park at USA Baseball, but you've now been there, what is it now, 2.5 years?
Yeah, 2.5, 3 next April. It's great, and I can't believe it's been that long. As you refer to the wonderful times on Blackwell Street there with USA Baseball, and I oftentimes reminisce and am reminded of those experiences because they have definitely helped me in this new role and position at Notre Dame.
So that position, Assistant Athletics Director and Monogram Club Executive Director, is there another 10 words or so to tack onto that, or did I cover it all?
No, very wordy, and as you well know, I'm all about titles.
Sure. Several business cards, or one that's got like a paragraph there in it, or what's the?
So it's our student. I'm in charge of our student-athlete alumni outreach,
right.
And it's fitting as being a student-athlete alumni of Notre Dame myself. And here at Notre Dame, that's a synonym for being the executive director of the Monogram Club. And along with my staff here, we are charged with kind of that creating that imprint. What does that look like? That conduit for our student-athlete alumni, our Monogram winners, as we call them here, or letter winners traditionally. What does that engagement point look like? Opportunity both here on campus, away. Where can we partner with university resources and existing programs to provide that lifelong connection to our student-athlete alumni?
So the first episode was with Michael Beal, who's Associate Athletic Director, and that's how I think many of our listeners know how these are broken out within the various universities. Maybe it isn't the same at every university, but at Notre Dame, are there multiple assistant athletics directors, and then you specifically, your role under that umbrella is to head up the Monogram Club?
Correct. There's a tiered or hierarchy, so to speak, structure here. Obviously, our director of athletics, who's a university vice president as well, Jack Swarbrick, sets the course for us here with two deputy AD, senior deputy Missy Comboy, and deputy AD Jim Frawley, whose purview kind of extends to the many other departments. And so, along with a staff of 6 of us here total, we are kind of that midway point between our athletic director's vision and strategy for what our student-athlete alumni outreach should look like and where they can be vital and crucial and helpful in delivering on this vision. And then our membership, represented by our board of directors. We have a 24-person board of directors with a president and everything, and we meet 3 times a year to really kind of chart the course as to what this club can and will do. And I'm kind of the middleman in that regard, as to making sure that we're all on the same page and align with current university and athletics department goals and initiatives.
All right, so give me a little bit more background on the Monogram Club. So obviously everybody knows the prestige of Notre Dame. We've seen the movie. We know everything involved there, and obviously the alumni play a huge role, just like they do in other universities. But you've got the Monogram Club there specifically. So what does that look like now? What does that group look like? How has it transformed over the years? And you mentioned the team. So what does your team look like, and how have you helped shape that since you've been there?
Well, the Monogram Club, ironically, this year we are celebrating 100 years of existence. Newt Rockne, I believe a football coach of historic lore there, along with Jess Harper, founded the club 100 years ago. And it was, initially started as a good old boy football gathering, really. Guys would get in their blazers and maybe cigars and whiskey and talk football, X's and O's, et cetera. Well, we've come a long way, and we really have become involved in a lot of athletics department initiatives to help the current student-athlete experience, career initiatives, scholarship initiatives with the university through our Brennan Bullen Really Scholarship Fund, and then through our catastrophic Mike Heaton Relief Fund, delivering on that promise of being that teammate beyond your time here at Notre Dame. And in addition, a lot of fellowship and gathering opportunities, mainly here during the football home season. There are just over 8,000 living, we call them monogram winners or letter winners, and you can earn your monogram via obviously being a student athlete, but also a student trainer, manager, cheerleader, video technician, and through the honorary route as well too. So we are 100% driven and funded by our dues and by our membership, where the caveat is the affinity and being connected to the university, but also through football ticket lottery application privileges as well too. And that really drives and funds us, and is really why it's important that we are represented by a board of directors who represent our membership at large, and that what we create, implement, or partner with in programs and offerings to our members aligns with what their needs are.
Now, and I don't want you to be modest here, Brant. Now, you obviously are one of those 8,000. You were stud baseball player there. You had a pro career as well. So, what was your relationship like with the Monogram Club leading up to this? And could you have imagined, or were you potentially saying, hey, this is a goal for me down the line to be in a role like this, even specifically with the Monogram Club?
No, that's a great question, because I think the more and more I've been in this role, I've really kind of realized what that connection or affinity was that made me pay my dues when I was in, insert name of minor league town USA, and my parents would forward out my annual review or the dues membership flyer from the Monogram Club, and I would scrape the nickels together and make sure that I was a consistent member from graduation on. It was a uniqueness, I think, in my journey to graduation here as being a student athlete. I think that I know that this place really was crucial to molding and defining me, and hopefully creating a finished product that has gone about and done more good than anything. And I think that connection was always special. And then coming back into this role and really realizing where and how the Monogram Club has been so present in current Notre Dame athletics, historically, within the fabric of the university, and how it has affected the lives of our many Monogram winners who have gone on to accomplish great things, has only validated that connection. And I think it's really charged my staff and I to really think forward. I talked about our 100-year anniversary, but our big focus now is, as 2016 winds down, has been, okay, what are the next 100 years? How is this unique resource going to be even a greater access point for the current student athletes, for our former student athletes, and in building upon that strong connection and affinity they had for for their unique experiences while they were here at Notre Dame.
What percentage of your day-to-day is the Monogram Club? I know, again, as the associate athletics directors break out, sometimes they'll be assigned to various sports. Do you have any sports there at Notre Dame?
I do. I am assigned as the sport administrator for the men's golf program here. So I'd say 80% of my everyday or my responsibilities are with the Monogram Club, when you're obviously dealing with a group that's 8,000 plus and so crucial to the lifeline of Notre Dame or to Notre Dame athletics, that consumes a lot of your time. But I enjoy the sport administrator role. One of the unique models that our athletics director here has is a 1-to-1 ratio with sport administrator to sport. You'll find at a lot of universities they'll have an associate AD, assistant AD assigned or responsible for 5 to 6 sports. And just by human nature, that can be a tough challenge.
Sure.
And one of those sports might, depending on the year, the season, or the time, or the issue, is going to get the short end of that bandwidth. And what Jack Swarbrick has really done here is really want and put a lot of trust and faith in his administrators to be that sole voice, advocate, whatever you want to term it, for the respective program. And I think it's really worked because you get to know the program, the coaching staff, the unique landscape of that respective sport to a better degree or sense than you would if you had 3 or 4 additional sports under your purview as well.
Do you ever find yourself kind of like walking behind the chair of the person in charge of baseball saying, "So how's everything? Everything good? How are we looking?"
No, I have a great relationship here with Coach Aoki. It actually extends back to my time at USA Baseball. We I know the folks in the room there at USA Baseball were probably like, okay, what's Brant got up his sleeve here? But we were able to settle and land on the USA Baseball Irish Classic, hosted at their beautiful USA Baseball National Training Complex facilities there in Cary. So that relationship extended before I got here. And to Coach Aoki and his staff's credit, they lean on me and my experiences a lot of the times in being able to talk to the current team, those guys that have professional ambitions or aspirations, and talking about the importance of getting your degree and finishing your degree and being able to do both, which hopefully I'm an example of. And it's been a great relationship. I see baseball as a great outlet to be back here and see the program, see how it's grown, see how the facilities have changed. I also think, and you'll know this because I don't think you ever saw me play golf ever. I'm not an avid golfer. I think if you were an avid golfer and you had men's golf as your sport or responsibility, that could be a dangerous combination.
Sure.
I think it's helped me be a better administrator and introduce and bring some of my baseball administrative experiences into this role and realm, and get to know the guys in that regard as well.
Well, let's go back to your playing days. So, Big East. Let me know if I'm leaving anything out. Big East Rookie of the Year, Big East Player of the Year, multiple time first team selection there in the conference, All-America recognition, and then you went and had a 9-year pro career. You mentioned the various cities that you played in the minor leagues. So let's go toward the end of that process. So, you're a professional athlete, and just like every athlete, you're thinking, okay, maybe my time is wrapping up. What does that next step look like? So take me back to that period where you were saying, hey, both personally and professionally, what does that next step look like? What is my career going to look like?
Yeah, well, thank you for those accolades. I appreciate it.
I voted for you in all of them. Yeah,
you have to bite your lips up to get through them all. But I get it. I knew, fortunately, with how I was raised, with my parents, and then choosing to attend a university like Notre Dame, I knew that baseball wasn't going to define me, and began to understand that it was going to provide a lot of opportunities that, if I was smart and aware enough to use those to further my career or life after baseball. And I think I did that. I had a very fortunate run to play professionally for 9 years. Didn't get to the major leagues, and that was tough because that's ultimately what every kid, sets out to do. But rather than leave the game kind of with that chip on your shoulder or unsatisfied feeling, I said, look, let's look back at what I've been able to accomplish, I think the way in which I went through my career, the relationships I built, the honesty that I approached my career with, and hopefully the respect that followed, and what will I transition into next. And I had finished up, I was drafted after my junior year here at Notre Dame and had it written into my contract that the Detroit Tigers would allow me to come back those first 2 fall off seasons to finish my degree. I knew that was very important, and plus my mom wasn't going to let me back in the house without a college degree. And I'd worked my butt off at a school like Notre Dame, and I didn't want to walk away from something unfinished. So having the confidence of that degree in my back pocket really let me approach my professional baseball career and empty the tank, so to speak. And so when that time came to make that transition, I had the confidence to do that. I leaned on the Notre Dame network here for ideas. I ultimately pestered a lot of folks, Paul Seiler at USA Baseball, one of them. And then I tried the coaching realm. I wanted to make sure that either the coaching or administrative route, which one was best for me. I knew in some form or fashion being involved in sports and athletics was where I wanted to do, and I felt that those 9 years as a professional were some sort of enhanced or accelerated graduate school in that regard, and I wanted to make sure that I had gone about my business in a way that it would help me in making that transition.
Now, I know you got a little bit of this at USA Baseball, essentially serving as the GM of the 18U national team, but I know also that a lot of former pro players, college players, look at going into scouting or more that on-field operations. Did you think about that route, or did you see USA as one where you could say, hey, I got the business and the on-field?
Yeah, I initially kind of kept the senses open to everything. The Seattle Mariners, right after they fired me, they wanted to hire me as a coach in their minor league level. And then I obviously coached a year at Michigan. So I entertained kind of all of those ideas and opportunities. But I really, in my position as a coach at Michigan, I got to know the many workings that go into putting together a successful program at a place like Michigan too, which working for Notre Dame now, I have to downplay that, but I couldn't think of a better opportunity fresh out of playing than to work for a university like Michigan in their athletics department. And that really exposed me to the administrative career path and the opportunities that exist in intercollegiate athletic administration. And so I didn't feel the need to have to stay in uniform or be on the field. It was a great reward at the end of the day when I was coaching to be able to work with these guys and realize that I had a lot of just knowledge and experience that they were thirsty and hungry for, and that it was easy for me to share. But I didn't have that burning desire to have to stay in uniform, and I really wanted to kind of be in a position that not only leaned on my experience and familiarity with sports and successful organizations within sports, but also I was able to add a little more creative element to the job, and I think I can do that in this administrative role.
And, I remember seeing you were selling, I can't remember who it was for, but at the winter meetings, and that's when there was the buzz, hey, you should walk over there, you should meet Brant, this might be happening. What was that conversation like with Paul? Did you pitch yourself to him as saying, hey, I'm ready to make that next step in my career? How did that transpire?
Yeah, if you ask Paul, he probably says it one of the biggest pains in his butt there for a while. But
hey, it worked.
Yeah, my USA Baseball experience was so special to me. I had the good fortune of playing on the collegiate national team after my sophomore year here at Notre Dame, and Paul Seiler was the GM for the collegiate national team at that point. So I got to know Paul in that realm, and we had wonderful experiences. We were based in the sweat box of Tucson, Arizona all summer, but we got to go to Nicaragua, Italy for the World Championships. And so that experience and seeing everything that Paul had to do and his team to put that experience together for us, I credit myself that I wasn't as self-centered and individual at the age of 19 to realize that what they had done for us. And so that stayed with me, and working for USA Baseball, working for a national governing body, and obviously with the sport had always appealed to me. So I really set out to see what or how there might be an opportunity with USA Baseball, and luckily things aligned, and then the organization was looking to grow and bring on kind of an alumni relations director for the first time to have meaningful outreach to the many alumni that were in a national team jersey, and then transitioned into running, which I think is probably the highest profile team of amateur baseball players in the world, which is the 18 and under national team. It was I couldn't have asked for a better post-playing transition and getting on a career path that I still am very fortunate has been paying dividends in my current role as well.
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking about that today, actually, with the Cubs having won the World Series this week. I remember sitting in a room, and wasn't there a year you had Alma and Russell in addition to some others?
Yeah, that 2011 18 and under national team, we went to Colombia, won a gold medal at the Junior Pan Ams. We're skippered by Scott Brocious. I mean, that was awesome. And then so Albert Almora scores to go ahead and run in the World Series. Addison Russell's obviously a bona fide, all-star shortstop and then the future of the game at the age of 22. I think at last check, out of that 20-man roster, we've had 10 guys play in the big leagues thus far, and we're talking about a group that graduated high school in 2012, so they're just at that 21, 22-year-old range. So a very special group. But that's Team USA. That's how all of our national teams, and then you even look at Chris Bryant and Schwarber, who were both on the collegiate national teams and the roles that they played as well. And then that shortstop for Cleveland was on the 2010 team in Lindor.
Yeah, and so you played with Zobrist, right? That's been great
for me to watch from afar is where Team USA, and they're all great kids. They don't make it through that trials process and get onto that final roster, and then we ask them to travel to Asia or to Central or South America and go compete against Cuba in a packed house unless they have the grit and the makeup, which we're seeing it reveal itself here at the big league level.
And even talking further about that World Series team, Zobrist was on your World Cup team, wasn't that right?
Yes. Yeah, Ben and I were teammates in 2005, kind of the ragtag group that Davey Johnson
right.
threw together and went out to the Netherlands to play. And so USA Baseball, if you really boil it down, and Paul Seiler reminds me every year, has been an integral part of my not only playing and life, but professional life as well.
Right. So, as great as that experience was, in 2014 or late 13, in that window, you get the call from your alma mater. What did that, recruitment process look like? Obviously, I know that was a tough decision for you, getting to know your wife, Jessica, and you were starting to have children. You were really getting settled there in the Triangle.
No, it was. In one aspect, or one hand, it was a very tough decision, but in the other, from a career standpoint, it was a very easy decision to make. Right. We had established roots in North Carolina, and as you were part of that special group of folks, not only just at work but in the community and friends, they're lifelong friends. And to think that a guy that grew up just outside Seattle, and my wife, who's a Michigander, we were calling Raleigh, North Carolina, home. It was a tough call in that regard. I had aspirations and still do have ambitions of becoming an athletics director one day, and I knew that this opportunity I could not pass up, and it would be something I think fundamental in taking that next step towards one day accomplishing those goals.
Now, I'm just curious, obviously you've got a network within that professional baseball community as well, and every day there are many players, such as the decision process that you went through, that are saying, you know what, I'm going to hang it up and I'm going to get into the next phase in my career. Do you talk to any of them? Do any of them come to you and say, wow, you know what, it's worked out for you, you've done it right? Do you provide advice ever, or counseling, even helping somebody with their resume? I don't want to get too dramatic, but just curious if that has ever happened with you.
Well, I appreciate that. I think I was fortunate to have had a lot of people around me that were willing to help. And if anything, out of all that, I think it's understanding too that I didn't just show up in this position or in this opportunity. There were people that vouched for me. There were people that instilled confidence in me when I left professional baseball at 29, and I had a resume. I just didn't know I had one, and that were able to coach me up and say, hey, your last two minor league free agent deals, you essentially represented yourself and came to terms with the team. You tricked Mariners into inviting you into big league camp as a non-roster invitee. Like that stuff that you can put down on paper and those are transferable skills, et cetera. And it was just a matter of somebody really showing that to me. And so if presented that opportunity with a teammate or somebody here that is playing or a Monogram winner from Notre Dame standpoint, we've talked a lot with former professional athletes that graduated from Notre Dame as they make that transition, and it's also a kind of an initiative on our end to really have a program in place to help that. So that sense of, I guess, paying it forward, so to speak, I'm always open to that, because I think former student athletes, whether at the collegiate level or if they have the opportunity to play at the professional or be Olympic student athletes or former student athletes, they're such a valuable commodity, and they're so able to help an organization, and it's great to help or be a part of connecting them or getting them kind of reinvigorated with the confidence to make that next step.
Now let's go back to your current role. South Bend, like Chapel Hill, where I went, college town. Now, Raleigh and Durham and those cities are very close to Chapel Hill. South Bend is close to Chicago and Indianapolis and those cities, but it is very much it's Notre Dame. I mean, I think before we started recording, you say, I live in Notre Dame. What's it like recruiting there? I mean, I know Notre Dame to some extent sells itself, but do you find that past alumni or recent graduates are dying to stay in town? Is it easy to relocate someone such as yourself? Obviously, you had unique ties, but what if you find a rising star, someone who in the college sports administration pipeline with no ties to Indiana, no ties to Notre Dame? Is it easy to bring that person in?
I think so. I think what Notre Dame has and will always continue to have is really the sense of community. You think of Notre Dame from an outsider's perspective or objectively, and you think of this massive place. The enrollment is still 8,000 undergrad. It always has been. There are new buildings popping up left and right, yet the enrollment stays the same. So what I've found here at Notre Dame, and I experienced this as a student when I was here, but I think I appreciate it now, is the palpable sense of community, and it starts with that. There's obviously tremendous opportunity here professionally. You're doing things at the highest level on the biggest stage, but Notre Dame's also very grounded in its cores and its values, and whether it's in athletics or the College of Engineering or the Alumni Association, it's going to be grounded and based in the values of the university, and that's the priority, and that's refreshing. It might position things to be a little different than how they are being done elsewhere, but I think there is a sense of confidence in knowing that things are being done the right way and for the right reason as well.
What do you like to see personally among your team members, those that you hire? Are you looking for someone who has worked in operations on events, or someone who's more focused on alumni relations, let's say?
Well, we have, so I said, including myself, 6 staff members. We have a communications associate, associate director, kind of a coordinator, and not kind of a coordinator, a coordinator. We have a full-time intern, and then kind of a hybrid position, Reggie Brooks, who runs a lot of our football relations with alumni. Reggie's a former All-American here, and one of the Notre Dame great running backs, and as well as other opportunities and tasks assigned by the athletics director. So it takes a lot of versatility for what we do, from fellowship and hosting of our events here on campus and welcoming back our members to implementing the group, the membership, those tasks. We've partnered with other campus entities, the business school, and offering discounted access for our members to take executive education courses. So that takes a lot of coordination and logistics behind the scenes. We have a very kind of complex membership process. But at the end of the day, it takes those folks that are willing to be that, play that role and help the team or the event's success. And so one of the, I think, nuances and I think positive things about working for the Monogram Club within Notre Dame Athletics is you are exposed to all aspects of the department and university, and get to interact with from teams and coaches and student athletes to campus partners across campus.
What does your travel look like, and what does your sales kind of recruitment efforts look like? I know you're not going to Japan and Cuba for 5 weeks at a time like you used to, but are you flying all over the country, doing presentations, speaking to the local alumni groups there?
Yeah, no, it's different and sometimes unpredictable. We want to go where the membership are. And that can take us from a place like Notre Dame that's a national university. We can be in Orange County 1 week and then Atlanta the next, and still have a critical mass of Monogram Club members and synced around an away football game, a women's basketball game, or like last year, an opening season lacrosse game in Atlanta. And we had about 60 to 70 Monogram winners there to support the lacrosse team. So that, I think, is the biggest difference, or continually evolving difference here with the Monogram Club, is we need to be versatile and able to take this experience that I think we do a pretty good job of providing for home football games here for our members or when they are back on campus, but taking it on the road and kind of having being adaptable to where that critical mass or event may exist away from campus. So that offers or lends itself to trips, maybe syncing around the football team on the road. I'll be leaving next week for the Shamrock Series, which is kind of our home neutral site game this year in San Antonio versus Army, where we'll have a couple events leading up to the game there, and then we'll kind of play it by ear throughout the year as to where and when we should sync and coordinate to have an event for membership.
Irish Classic, Shamrock Series. I mean, haven't we exhausted the Irish plays on words at this point, or no? Are we?
No, I think we've still got some room and capabilities there, as you well know. It's about the theming and message.
Oh yes, I know. Hey, so you talked about your goal someday is to be an athletics director. Is that the goal of your peers that you see? I mean, what is that athletic department at Notre Dame? Are you churning out future athletic directors, or do you see some go different directions as well, whether it's maybe the agency side or go into consulting, or they go into with a professional team? What is if there is a common track record progression in careers for people such as yourself?
Well, I think I can only speak for myself, but I think there's been a tremendous history of or current presence of Notre Dame alum, either alum or folks that have passed through Notre Dame athletics in some form or capacity that are currently athletic directors nationally. I should know the count, but I want to say there's sitting right now probably about 10 or so athletic directors at the Division I level who either were alum or passed through here at some point, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I think the thing about Notre Dame too is this is also for many and for most the industry standard to some degree, whatever that facet of athletics administration they might be involved with. And so being here for the long term is also an excellent option. But I think this place drives you. It demands and asks that you be at your best in representing Notre Dame, and I think that inevitably attracts attention beyond Notre Dame.
Do you ever look around at the other major universities and their alumni programs and say, you know what, these guys are doing it right? I don't know if there's a conference where people in your line all get together and exchange ideas, but is there a university or two that you like what they're doing in this space? And then on the other side, what is it you see within alumni relations that you just cringe at? Like, oh, God, I hate seeing this in the industry.
No, absolutely. There are many tremendous examples out there of just new age ideas, or keeping in sync with kind of the evolution of the, you don't want to of alumni relations, or that relationship that's being built. There is, as far as letter winners associations, there's actually the national letter, the NLWA, the National Letter Winners Association. They have a conference once a year, and it's attended by about 40 or so schools and their respective letter winners associations. And the one unique thing about letter winners associations is some are housed within athletics, like we are. Some are housed within respective development. Some are housed within the alumni associations of their universities. And some are just independent organizations that really are not officially attached to the university. So the whole spectrum is there. And from that group, obviously when you're talking about the Monogram Club that's been around for 100 years, the K Club at University of Kansas does a really nice job. And then you have, we send our staff there and one of our board members every year, and we come away with new ideas or perspectives on things. Because if you're not, continually trying to enhance and evolve or change for the better, then you become a little stale and stagnant. And I think there are many things that we do great and have always done really well. But I think with the nuances of connecting to young alumni, to our alumni groups that are in different transitional aspects of their careers, whatever that may be, we need to be in tune with what other programs and schools are doing. As far as something that might make me cringe, I think it's just stubbornness, realizing that, our population is different, so this is only going to work for them, and we know what we're doing. I can't sit here in my office here on the campus of Notre Dame and say that I know what all 8,000 Monogram winners really expect or want from this club or affinity. We need to continue to do a great job of connecting through surveys, through input, through responses as to where can this club be a true resource to you. We understand there's a football ticket application lottery benefit, but what programs or partnerships would enhance or help you to continue to be and to recruit your teammates and those that maybe have fallen off the radar a little bit to be involved. So if you're not thinking in those aspects and just kind of resting on your laurels, and that's not a recipe for sustained success.
That's interesting. So what's next for the Monogram Club? What's next for you?
What is next? We, I think it's continuing to be that conduit to our members, both new members or those that maybe have not been able to be connected to the university or get back to campus for obvious reasons. One of our front and center initiatives is really exploring where we can be a career resource for our members. And you're talking about a myriad of folks that are, very senior and experienced in their respective industries and careers, to those
Sure.
that are young alum making different transitions or job switches, or mothers and fathers reentering the workforce, professional or Olympic athletes retiring or transitioning out of their playing career. Where can we provide that resource and be an assistance in that regard?
All right, Brant. So every time I try to make this sound less and less creepy, but I'm trying to say, where do you hang out online, social media? Are you on Twitter, LinkedIn, or where can people find you? And for those former letter winners that you're trying to reach out to, how can they find you?
Well, we've and this is credit to Sean Carroll, our communications associate. We have a pretty robust online presence, social media presence through all of the previously just listed there, and that's been new for me is really getting in tune with how we can better communicate with our membership. And it wasn't too long ago that the Monogram Club used to send an in-hand hard copy newsletter 4 times a year, a quarterly, in addition to our annual review, which used to be the only real touch point to our members. We've come a long way in the last 7 to 10 years in that regard, but I think there's work to be done continually, and especially engaging our young alum in a more meaningful fashion. But Twitter, Facebook, I guess, all that good stuff is there. But
what's your Twitter handle? Are you at Brant Ust? Are you at Brant Ust, or what's
at ND Brant Ust?
There you go. And by the way, I will forever record and just loop it back. You just gave your communications guy credit. So hopefully you used to do that for me at USA Baseball, but I will.
I've come a long way. I think you were the. I had that.
You were coming off your pro career, exactly. I mean, my counterparts were asking you to go like sit in dunk tanks at state fairs and stuff like that. So,
or tell you what went wrong in a loss in an 0 for 4. Like, well, I think you saw what went wrong. But I think you really bridged that gap to the human side of all of those. That interact with sport. They have a tough job in and of itself of their own. And I've there's a legend, a couple hallways down here, John Heisler, longtime media relations guru here for Notre Dame, and it's for what I do and somebody that knows the history of the Monogram Club and our student athletes. There hasn't been a better resource for me to tap into since I've been here.
Well, I had a lot of fun, obviously, working with you at USA Baseball. One of my favorite stories I've got to tell, you came with me for the Golden Spikes Award up in New York City the year Mike Zunino won, catcher for the Mariners. And Carlos Rodon, who's now obviously starting for the White Sox, was coming off an amazing freshman year. He needed to get a bullpen in because he was about to go pitch down in Havana the next day with our national team. And here's Brant Ust, who informs everyone that his last role when he's trying to make a big league roster was as a catcher. We had a helmet with us, catcher's mask, that we were going to get autographed. And you said, you know what, I'll do it. And no pads, no cup either. Went out there in Central Park and caught Rodon's slider.
No, yeah, it was one of those moments, impromptu, but it was great, and I think Carlos took it easy. It was it's a good old-fashioned flat ground to get some work in before he, like you said, went to rejoin Team USA in Cuba. What I think is missing from that story is you holding off the park ranger, who was adamantly reminding us that the park, or at least the fields, don't open until 8 a.m. But you did a great job, which was more respect for the media relations position and fending off federal employees like that.
Well, I'll post that picture with this, but it was truly we jumped the fence with all of us, Rodon, Elliot Avent, his coach, his parents, and you guys got it in while, like you said, I held off the Rangers. So that was one of my favorite USA Baseball memories. But truly, Brant, it's been great. I know this is a dream role for you. You're back at your alma mater. I'm psyched for you and your family, and keep up the good work. Thanks for coming on today.
Always a pleasure, Jake, and I appreciate the time.
Thanks for listening to the Front Office Exchange, where you hear about the careers of some of the leading executives in sports business. Visit us at frontofficeexchange.com, on Facebook at Front Office Exchange, and on Twitter at Front Office EXCH to access past episodes, show notes, and much, much more.